Assalamualaikum, good day everyone. Today I will present our report for the course Sdcik 1016 Malaysian Cultural Communication and Art Appreciation. Our group selected the film Puteri Gunung Ledang directed by So Cheong Hin for our cultural communication analysis. This film was chosen because it is one of the most important historical film in Malaysia and it strongly represents the culture, tradition and identify of the Malay Sultanate during the 15th century. First, I will briefly explain the introduction and objective of this report. Cultural communication refers to the exchange of value, meaning, tradition and custom between people from different cultural backgrounds. Film is an effective medium because it helps preserve and communicate culture to society and international audience. The objective of this report is to analyze the cultural elements shown in film. Our analysis focus on communication style, tradition arts, intercultural conflict, the presentation of women in Malay legends. Next, I will explain the overview of the film. Puteri Gunung Ledang tells the story of the forbidden love between Hang Tuah and Gusti Puteri Retro Dumilah from the Majapahit Kingdom. Their love faced challenge when Sultan Mahmud Shah wishes to marry Gusti Puteri to strengthen his political power and status. To reject the Sultan without causing conflict, Gusti Puteri creates 7 impossible conditions, including the famous request for a bridge made of gold and silver from Malacca to Gunung Ledang. The story mainly highlights the conflict between love, loyalty, honor and power. One of the key findings from our report is the importance of verbal and non-verbal communication in traditional Malay society. The film Bahasa Istana or Royal Court language, which is polite, indirect and respectful. For example, Hang Tuah referred to himself as humble when speaking to the Sultan as a symbol of loyalty and humility. Besides verbal communication, the film also highlights non-verbal communication through gestures such as menyembah. This act represents respect toward the Sultan and reflect the strict hierarchy practiced in the Malacca Sultanate. One important cultural insight is how Malay society value manners, discipline and respect in communication. For visual highlight, the royal court scenes clearly display traditional costume, palace architecture and respectful body language that reflect Malay royal culture. The next important aspect is the intercultural conflict between Malacca and Majapahit. The film shows difference between Malay and Javanese culture through music, dance, ritual and clothing. For example, Gusti Puteri is portrayed with Javanese-inspired attire and musical ritual, while Malacca is representing through Malay royal tradition and Nobat music. This difference help create a strong cultural identity for both kingdom and make the film visually interesting. Another key finding is the use of traditional art as a storytelling tool. Silat is not only shown as a martial art but also a form of emotional expression. The silat duel between Hang Tuah and Gusti Puteri symbolizes love, inner conflict and personal struggle. The keris, especially keris Taming Sari, is also important because it represents honor, bravery and spiritual power in Malay culture. One of the strongest visual highlights in the film is beautifully choreography silat scene combined with traditional music and cinematic effects. The final important point in our analysis is gender and female empowerment. In other legends, Gusti Puteri was sometimes viewed as arrogant or cruel because of her impossible condition. However, this film represents her as a strong, intelligent and independent woman. Her actions are interpreted as intellectual resistance against absolute power and unfair authority. This modern interpretation reflects contemporary value of women, agency and empowerment while still preserving the traditional legend. In conclusion, Puteri Gunung Ledang is more than just a historical romance film. It is an important medium for preserving and promoting Malaysian cultural heritage. Through language, costume, music, silat and storytelling, the film successfully communicates the richness of Malay civilization to modern audience. The film also proved that traditional stories can still remain relevant and when adapted with modern creative interpretation. Thank you for listening to our report and presentation.